Craigslist.io.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
And today we're going to be talking about at-home dads or stay-at-home dads. Don't forget to follow us on social media at YDFL Podcast.
On Spotify, on YouTube.
To listen to us. Or watch us on YouTube or ask Alexa to play the latest episode.
I always love listening to Alexa. I'm like, Alexa, play the You Deserve Fresh Lettuce podcast. And she's like, here you go.
Oh my God.
So make sure that it makes you happy just like it makes me happy.
Yes. All right, so at-home dads, there's this whole thing where women are becoming super empowered.
Right.
And they're making their money. And in some cases, are making more money than their partners.
Right.
And then in comes the conversation of
income.
Should he just stay home?
Yeah.
To take care of the kids. What do you think? Is that something that you would put on the table in your relationship?
What do I think? I've seen it more often now than I've ever seen it in my life.
Yep.
And, growing up, it was always like the thing, like we just knew, at least for me, like my peers or like my friends, their moms and their moms of moms, like most of the moms were stay-at-home moms. Like that was what it was. And the dads went to work and the moms took care of the household. Every once in a while you would have a mom that had to work. But I've seen it more often now where, the woman makes more money. Maybe the dad works from home though, because that's happening a lot now. And maybe he doesn't make as much money, but maybe he's working from home. So now he can take care of the household things like cooking dinner, maybe doing laundry, maybe doing those types of things. I think that, here's what I think. This is my opinion. I think when you've committed to someone, meaning when you've decided to get married and, things shift in a marriage, meaning maybe initially it started off as you got your degree, he got his degree, you guys are kind of embarking in your careers, and all of a sudden something shifts, and that shift only makes him, just stay home, like where it like places him at home, then I think you just kind of go with that flow. But, here's a but. But if you marry someone knowing he's going to be a house dad, that's a little different for me.
I don't think when people get married that they know that he's going to become a house husband, because as we've seen from women like Julian Barberie, like there's a movie called The Intern that really breaks this down with Robert De Niro.
Right.
I know that for me personally, and we just talked about, I know I say this all the time, we talk about things off camera, but we literally just got done talking about how if we really look at the men that we even considered contenders for potential marriage, because we have to do that as women, right? It's not just let's see who's going to pick me. No, like we got to be very intentional, right?
Right, we do.
We found something in common today, and that thing was, does he have his shit together, so to speak? Is he going to school us, so to speak? Like we're not coming to get to the table as the alphas. We are recognizing that the only ones that truly make the cut are the ones that come with the alpha energy, meaning they got their stuff together. So do they lose the alpha energy if they're at home and they're the ones running the laundry and they're the ones putting dinner on in the crock pot, maybe, whatever it might be, they're running around taking the kids to play dates, and you're out in a suit in the corporate America doing whatever? That to me feels very unbalanced.
Well, I do feel that it could lead even to a level of not being respected, not respecting your partner. I know that in the past, I've had, friends of friends that they actually split the bills down the line, and it's gotten as bad as, and this is not someone that's actually at home. He's actually contributing in his own right, meaning like he's also paying half of the bills. And I've heard stories of the wife just being so disrespectful to say, you're just my effing roommate, you don't do effing anything, you're just my effing roommate. And can you imagine what that might feel like for a man? It's like, you're not even man enough to take care of this household, you're just the roommate. I can literally get rid of you, get someone else on freaking Craigslist, and have that person pay the bills. Like, you contribute nothing to this relationship. And that, to me, it's like chopping off the man's, manhood, in my opinion.
It's demasculating or emasculating or whatever they call it. I know that I recently saw one of those relationship gurus on social media, and he had said, ladies, listen to me clearly.
Yeah.
If you are paying Add whatever after that. Rent, this, that.
Whatever.
If you are paying, you are single.
Oh, I heard that.
And he said it several times. If you are paying, you are single. And I was like, maybe this is a whole other podcast episode, but it really got me thinking about this whole stay-at-home dad thing, because I do really feel like that. And although I'm an entrepreneur, you guys know this, if you look at any of my content, I help women make money from home and do all these kinds of things. I'm all for women working and making money on their terms, by the way. And in ways it doesn't get in the way of like the rearing of the children and holding up the household, honestly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if the man is doing all the wifely things and the woman is doing all like the traditional, what was traditionally the man things, I don't know how she stays in her feminine energy if she has sort of this masculine role she's playing from 8 to 5 or whatever. Right.
And then not to mention, how does she then now have to be the one that brings home the bacon, and then at night has to put on... You literally cook it and then maybe like do some lingerie, do some like special dances, do some special things. I think that she probably might be turned off by the whole thing. And a lot of the time you'll hear people say, we're just doing this for the kids. Like, we're just waiting for, little Susie to graduate high school. And a lot of the times what I've heard is that they put their life on hold. Meanwhile, this kid goes to high school, then we'll figure out the logistics of separating.
And we have a whole podcast slated for that, and it's going to be a good one, because that's a whole real issue.
It is.
I think that if he's at home, it's a really difficult thing to talk about, in the sense of like, I don't have a guy who's sitting at home right now, like doing nothing. You don't have that either. No. But I know that for me, and you probably too, I could say for both of us, we have talked about our grind, and you have your hustles, I have my hustles. We come together to do this show and this hustle. But we have both really been honest with ourselves to say, God, it would be so amazing to have a great, solid partner in our lives that could actually help hold up the fort. In saying that, though, if he wants to hold up the whole thing, fantastic, right? But at the end of the day, if we were going through all this as women and we're as tired as we talk about sometimes, that it can get really exhausting, then at the end of the day, coming home and he's just right there.
Angry because now, like, you worked, because there's days where we're out of here like at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And so now you're the one, making the bacon, bringing it home, and then now he's mad that you're getting home late. And that goes for women too, by the way. But this is the subject that we're going to try to stick to, because sometimes women do get a little bit upset when the man's working a little bit overtime, or they're working a little bit of the long hours.
Let's actually talk about that more, because it is so true, ladies. You could not have, and I'm going to be very blunt and like black and white.
Right.
It is near damn impossible to have a man who gives you a bunch of time and attention and a successful man. If you are looking for someone who's very successful, unless he started a business that literally runs itself, and he can just be at home or whatever, and he trusts the people that are running it, fantastic, kudos to him. But for the most part, most men are very passionate. They're starting their hustle, their business, and then that's not enough, right? They want to do the next big thing and the next big thing, or they want to start building stuff in the backyard, or they're constantly working on things. You got to look around your environment and go, yeah, but is he providing this amazing life? I can't have both. And so then when you completely shift the other way, and now all he is available because he's just at home, or not just at home, by the way, because there is value to taking care of the kids. There is value to cleaning. There is value to cooking. We can't be hypocrites, or can we? And be like, it's only valuable when we're doing it, but when they're doing it, it's not valuable.
No, I think there's value there no matter what, but I think that it goes with what we always talk about. I think that you have to stay in your feminine role, and you have to stay in your masculine role. And it's going to be really difficult for a woman to respect a man that's being a house husband, because that is what it is. Like, you're taking care of the things that that I have to take care of, and in addition to that, now you're bitching and complaining that I'm working late, but like, who's paying the bills? I'm paying the bills. And then again, we go back to that whole having someone split the bills with you. Now you're really looking at your partner and thinking, at the end of the day, I really don't even need to put up with you, because I can take care of this. And it goes back to what people look at relationships, and this is my opinion, it's like, what are you going to do for me, rather than saying, we came to communion, we got married because we love each other and we are going to help each other grow and empower each other. But I think what's happening now, like the roles have changed a lot
and fast too.
Really fast. And I think that, you know, we're not giving each other your place and respect. If you have a conversation where before you get married, I think this is what's most important. When you're about to get married, you have all conversations, even the ones that are so embarrassing, even the ones that, you know, what if he loses his job? You know, are you going to be okay with him being at home and you taking care of him? These are conversations that need to be had before you actually make the commitment, because maybe if you really put yourself in that predicament, like, what is that going to make me feel like? Actually, yeah, I'm not going to be okay with that. I would rather you go out there and you hustle like I'm hustling, and we can maybe get someone to help out around the house. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people. So there's another story of a lady, of a husband and wife that lived in the LA area. So LA is very expensive. Yeah. And I believe she was like a vice principal for like the LA County. Not really sure. Point is, he worked for a steakhouse. Steakhouse goes under. He's getting unemployment. So he's still getting paid. So after a while, the unemployment ran dry. So she really liked the fact that he's at home, because it was so much easier for her. She didn't have to worry about laundry, homework, picking up, dropping off. So it literally alleviated her from a lot of the tasks.
Yeah.
So the mom, being old school Mexican woman, had like the biggest issue with it, to the point where her mom. Okay. To the point where, you know, they didn't even want the mom to come over. Like they literally, like, she just really disliked the mom's presence because the mom had an issue with that. And if you spoke to her, she spoke very highly of her husband. He was smart, he was this, he was that. I don't know that many husbands are going to get that lucky to where you're going to get a wife that is going to be so willing and supportive of taking care of you.
Well, let's just be completely honest here. There are women who they do not enjoy being domestic. They don't enjoy doing the laundry. They don't enjoy mopping the floors. They don't enjoy
baking,
running around with the kids and dealing with the chaos. There's women that they genuinely, that's not their first and foremost choice. Like they don't identify with it. It's more of a society saying this is the role that you're
supposed to do.
Maybe that I've met women that are just not domestic and they would rather be at work. They would rather be out there making moves, whatever the situation is. And so I can see in this day and age that women have had the opportunity to explore what they truly enjoy doing. And it might not be doing those things on a domestic level, but financially, instead of hiring someone to come in, maybe the husband, it makes sense because he could work remote, or maybe because he's unemployed, or maybe because your money is such big money, he can just be a very present father and take the kids to soccer or whatever the situation is. And so every situation is going to be completely different, and everything that we share with you guys, it's really from our perspectives of like what we think we would like or not like based on what we see in the world.
Right.
And I know for me personally, I do enjoy the work I do. So that's a little bit different. It's not like I'm going out and being a bus driver. Not to knock those things, but there's some really difficult jobs out there that people are amazing to do. That for me, I'm very fortunate in the work that I do. But at the end of the day, not everybody has that option. And there's women out there that have 2 jobs and the husband's still sitting there. Like, well, I'll just be here and like I'll hold up the fort here.
Yeah.
And you got to really ask yourself, does that work? Does it? Because like you said, the respect factor.
That I think that's really the most important thing, because you could even kind of flash that back to the woman, where the man comes home and it's like, what have you been doing all day? Have you been sitting there all day? And I don't think people really realize how hard and how much work it takes to actually run a household, to make sure the water's running, even though yes, someone's paying those bills, but to actually, pay the bills, to have the water running, the electricity, the food on the table, taking out the trash, that all the bills are paid. And there's a lot of work that goes into running a household. And I think it's one of those things, like, however it is that you operate your household, it has to have respect. You have to respect your husband, and the husband has to respect the woman. And I think it's easier said than done, but I think when you actually sit and really break it all down, really think about what you do and what they do, and sometimes it'll flip.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're giving more and he's doing less, and vice versa. He's doing more, you're doing less. And that's part of a partnership sometimes.
I think, when you lead with gratitude, you're going to land in a really great place. And there's a funny meme that was going around that, or like a video trend that, the husband would come home and look around and go, oh my God, you've been home all day. Why isn't the house clean, right? And food made. And she'd say, well, you go to work all day. Why aren't we rich yet?
Right.
And it's actually, and it's really funny. And at the end of the day, I think women are coming into a place where they can speak up a little more and they cannot care as much. Meaning, like, they're not their mothers and their grandmothers, and they're like, so there's shoes on the ground. The kids are playing. Like,
right. What do you want me to do about that?
And it depends on what culture you're from and everything. There's this thing about being super tidy, having your house look a certain way, like having the food on the stove, like all these things. And there's a lot of us women that are still kind of in that realm of, like, I know for me, we talk about this, like, I make dinner every day, and sometimes I make breakfast every day, like on the stove cooking, and then I pack my lunch, like Delia sees, like, okay, we pack our lunches or whatever. And at the end of the day, for me, it's like I actually get joy out of it because it's one of my love languages to say, oh, look, I made this, and right now, I have my son living with me, so I'm like, okay,
I did this, and that's the domestic side of you that you enjoy, and I
personally enjoy it. It's not like someone's demanding it from me, but if it wasn't my favorite.
But I wonder though. See, here's the thing. Like for me, like I really enjoy doing those things and baking, what have you. But I think it's different when someone comes from a place of, like demanding. What you just said, demanding. But if the person's coming from a place of gratitude, meaning that they really appreciate the things that you do and they see it, that you're going out of your way, then I think it's gonna come out of you even more to be like, well, I made you creme brulee, and I made you chocolate, and I made you this. Versus someone being like, is that all you made? Like, this again. We're gonna eat this again. And then I think it's a gratitude thing, and it really, the attitude is a gratitude, and it like it's such a cliche, but it really is that. And I think if it's a husband that's at home or a wife that's at home, I think you just got to be gracious for whatever it is that they're doing. And when you love something, you can see that you like it, that you love it. If you don't like it, you can see that you don't like it.
Yeah, and you got to have these conversations in the very beginning, because if you just don't love doing laundry or dishes or cleaning or whatever, the tub, then you need to have a very serious conversation about financially, how much does that cost a month to have somebody come in once a week or whatever to do these things. I mean, there's services in every community. You don't have to have a built-in maid or whatever. Like, you could just say, hey, you know what, instead of, if we're on a budget, maybe I don't go to Starbucks every day, and maybe part of this money goes towards, having this woman come or this team come and clean up and everything. And so I think that's a big thing. I know that my ex-husband and I, when we got divorced, one of the things he told the boys was that his regret was that with all the money that we were making together as a couple, because I worked full time through my entire marriage almost, was that he had this thing about himself that he would be damned if somebody was going to come clean his house when he had a wife. And that was a regret of his, because he saw that I was essentially gone, commuting, traveling, corporate America, whatever, media, and then showing up at night, still cooking, and then, by the way, everyone's going to bed already. I already got the kids ready, prepared for the next day, and I'm over there trying to vacuum. I'm over there trying to, like, dust, and I'm, like, exhausted, and still having to be this, like, show woman, in the bedroom or whatever the situation is. So he was able to, in hindsight, go, I think out of everything, there's a lot of mistakes made, but he was telling the boys, when you guys get married, really have that conversation. If you want her to make money and contribute like I had to do, ladies, like he said, just spend the money and have somebody come take care of the house.
I think it's the least thing you can do. Like every once every 2 weeks, if you can, and then you can kind of tidy up and keep up if you can. That would be amazing. But I mean, if you're taking care of the man and he has to be at home and he has to care of the kids, I mean, I think there has to be a timeline, right? If you have young children that are maybe under 5 years old, maybe it's more cost effective to have him be at home. But I think there comes a place or a time where the kids go back to school, and then now it's one of those things like, okay, now what are you going to be doing? Because there's a lot of amazing, especially right now, there's a lot of like work opportunities. I mean, and they're paying a substantial amount of money. So, but if it works for you and you're okay with it and you respect each other and you guys can, kind of, I don't know, balance something out without being disrespectful, then if it works for you, then great. I personally don't think that that's the way that I'd want to operate.
Yeah.
But everyone's different, and if it works for you, then keep on trucking.
That's what it boils down to, but be very, very honest with yourself, because
Absolutely.
the last thing that we want you to experience is a silent resentment.
Right.
Because that will definitely bleed into the bedroom.
Right.
And it'll bleed into a lot of things. And you might think that this is the thing that's wrong over here, but it's really this other thing here. And so I think when you're very honest with yourself about it, he might be able to be honest with himself to go, he actually enjoys, being, whatever, like Delia said, maybe it'll make you feel better if he's actually looking for a job online. He can be a consultant, whatever the opportunities are, so that you at least can, as a woman, have some kind of sense that when you're with your girlfriends, you can go, oh yeah, he's actually an engineer or whatever, but he works remote. Be very honest with yourself. Is it embarrassing to you to be with your girlfriends and to be like, he doesn't work? And if so, why? And like really unpack that feeling, because you have to be honest.
I think that a lot of the time too, like I don't know Jillian Barbary personally. She's like an old school kind of anchor woman. I guess I wouldn't say old school, but she was in
like
that
years
world
ago.
years ago,
Fox, yeah.
And she always resonates with me whenever I think about House Husbands, just because he was actually on a reality TV show called House Husbands
of Hollywood or
something.
And
I think that was like her second husband, and I think that the first husband she had to pay alimony to, and so this husband, obviously he got the kids because he was raising the children. The children wanted to be with him, from my understanding, and she also had to pay him alimony. And so there are some things that I think sometimes we continue to pick the same type of people, and sometimes it's one of those things where we have to hit the reset. Now, if you're married, this is going to be one of those conversations that you need to have with him. But if you're not married and you continue to pick these type of men, then you got to really take into consideration, like, what is it about me that needs to have these men that are relying on me?
Yeah, there's a power play. Yeah, there's something
they're relying on me. What is it?
Yeah.
And if it's something that bothers you, then maybe that's something that you need to really, like they say, nip it in the butt.
If you are a woman who needs a guy to need you,
there's something there.
Do not fool yourself into thinking that because he needs you that he won't cheat on you. Because he needs you, he can't find someone better. Because he needs you, XYZ. So you got to really figure that out. I can tell you, I personally know a couple women that they made more money. The guy didn't really, whatever the situation was. And I know the verbiage is like, yeah, where's he gonna go? Like, I have to do this, that, and that for him. And the guy literally was messing around
the whole time
in the background with different ones or whatever. And you would be like, wait a minute, she's pretty much holding up the whole freaking thing.
But you know what? It's so funny because this just like popped a thought. I think a lot of the time too, it's not only just like, the husband that, you guys are like married and then you guys are actually raising young kids. It's also like the older generation of women that now want to take care of a younger man. Why? Because maybe he's like the young sex, lover, and all of a sudden the boy toy, and she's okay with taking care of him and flying him out and going on vacation, and that's another thing. Like, you don't know if it's because she doesn't want to date at her age because maybe she's in her 50s or 60s, and maybe the guys aren't performing the way like a 25-year-old would, and she understands that the only way she's going to hold him or keep him
is to
be the one that takes care of him, because he's relying on her. But it's like what you just finished saying, that doesn't mean he's not going to go and cheat on the 50-year-old. It's not going to stop you.
No,
it's just it's just going to be one of those things like, he is relying on you because you are now the sugar mama.
And by the way, it actually does not make you more valuable. The amount of gurus that we've spoken to who have said that men that are truly into you are not concerned with your financial status. They don't care what your credit. They don't care. They don't even care what you've accomplished in your life. Like, it doesn't play to a guy that really is into you. So if you're thinking it makes you better in any kind of type of way or makes you more valuable to them, no, because just like they found you to cover the bills and to pay his car note and to do this and that, there's others that like to be in the power position and would do that. And these guys are really, if it's a predatory type thing, these guys are really good at finding those.
And they know where to go.
They know where to go.
And you know what the funny thing is too, though? The Cougars know where to get the little cubs. I mean, let's not get this twisted. I mean, they know where to go, and they know where to get the cubs. And on a side note, really quick, I know that we're probably about to exit this, but I actually saw this meme, and I believe I sent this to you. It said something like, the way that you're going to date down is this way. So say like you're 40 years old, you would, divide that by 2, which would make you 20, and you add 8 years to that. Mm-hmm. So if you're 40, you should not date anyone younger than 28 years old. Mm-hmm. I don't know how true that is. I don't know that that's an accurate number, but I guess that's like as cougar as you should be. Like that's like the cougar age limit. So just FYI.
Yeah, you sent me that. and then there was like one that I sent you to that were like, now that we're talking about it, the lady was like, me, it's like no one, and she's like 36 years old, and then she's like, me was someone's 22-year-old son. And I'm like, as a mom who raised sons. But the video was cool because it actually showed that they got married and they had a baby together and they built a whole life with each other. Yeah. But I can tell you, the world.
But I don't know that she was taking care of him, by the way.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that. But it was kind of funny.
Those lines.
Yeah, it was funny.
So to us, it's like, hey, listen, do you, but make sure that you're being actually genuine with yourself. Like, be honest. Like, do you feel proud of the fact that he is a great at-home dad?
And or would you rather, or that he's young, and I think a lot of the time when I've seen the cougars, they deflected by saying, "Oh, I could have sex with him," and he's like ready, and he's ready to go like immediately. And I think that's the way they deflect the fact that they're taking care of the guy by saying like, "He's my boy toy."
Women go through a lot when they fall in love, and unfortunately, they go through some really difficulties where they feel powerless. So coming out of that and getting with a boy toy and someone that's younger, that they know more than them, that they make more than them, that they're on top. Like at the end of the day, there is this sense of power that in our minds can easily translate into safety, but it's not. It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
Hey, but have fun along the way.
Yeah, and if you want to take care of a man, then if you guys come to your senses and that works for you, then you do that. And if it doesn't work for you, then don't do it. So
we'll cheer you on either way.
Yeah, either way. So
no matter what you decide, don't forget that you deserve fresh lettuce.
And sure.